Hello and welcome to episode 246 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, from West Coast, Best Coast, is Emma. How are you doing?
Hello, doing good. I am alive and well, and that's the best that anyone can hope for.
Hey, that counts. Happy that you're here. And so
Yep.
this week, we are chatting initial thoughts on Marvel Spider-Man 2, as well as some good Omens news. But before we get into that, as always, you can find us as OneGeek411 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check out our Discord server if you want to chat during the week, or you can shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Monday nights. Or, as discussed last time, we've been starting a bit earlier lately, so like
Yeah.
6:30-ish Mountain Time. And you can find the videos over on our YouTube. And then, of course, you can find our Redbubble store.
Woo.
Emma, we were out last week. We ended up taking the week off. What all have you been up to?
Um, really only two things of fun to report. I have not had much of a life for the past 2.5, 3 weeks because I've been editing like a crazy person um, for this project. But two fun things that I've been doing in the little free time I have. One has been watching Our Flags Mean Death, or Flag Means Death. I think I mentioned this last time we were on, but I've continued to enjoy the episodes, and a good friend of mine from high school and I have been talking about the episodes every week back and forth in all caps or whatever over text, and it's been a lot of fun, um, and exciting, and it's really well written and made. So I've had fun with that. And then on Thursday night, for the third year in a row, went to Halloween Horror Nights, and it was so fun, and I had a blast. And there was only one maze we did not get to. We got to all of the other ones. But I mentioned this in Discord. I got to do the Last of Us maze, and it was so good.
I'm so
I
happy you loved it.
loved it so much. Cameron, I think you would actually really enjoy it. Like, I think you would have a good time going through it.
Yeah.
But I have hanging up here now. It's like a poster from that I got that it's a clicker, and then below it in front is Joel and Ellie, and then it says The Last of Us, and then Halloween Horror Nights. And I
Nice.
have it in my little gaming corner, and it was so much fun, and like a total blast. If anyone ever has a chance to do Universal Horror Nights, I highly recommend it. Um, and yeah, so those are the two fun things I've done. The rest of the time, I've literally been in a deep dark basement somewhere, um,
Just working away.
moving footage around. So yeah,
Uh,
that has been my life.
yeah. What were some of the other houses at Halloween Horror Nights?
They did one that was it was like based on South American like cryptids almost. I don't
Hmm.
quite know what the word is, but like South American monsters, kind of like
Like the Chupacabra?
yeah, basically. They the one that we did not get to was the Chucky one. Um,
I feel like
but
you're
we
probably
got
fine.
yeah. Um, they did one based on the new Exorcist movie. Um, what was the other ones we did? I mean, really, The Last of Us. I told my friend who I was going with. Um, The Last of Us is the only one I want to go to, or like that is my biggest priority. Um, and it was worth it. Oh, they did a Stranger Things one. That one was a lot of fun. Very spooky, um, and fitting. Uh, Evil Dead Rise. That one was pretty cool. Um, and then like a bugs horror thing, like just a lot of bugs.
Yeah. Kind of to
So
what you were saying earlier. There's a few of them that I think I could do. Like, I feel like I could get myself through, like, The Last of Us and the Stranger Things one because, like, I care
yeah,
about those IPs. But then
yeah,
you get to stuff like Bugs, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
nah, yeah.
Like,
Well, and there's like it's definitely one of those setups where they keep a lot of their rides open as
Mm.
well into the night. So
Oh, that's good.
if you only want to do, like one or two of their haunted mazes, um, you still have other things to do, like going on the permanent rides. So
Oh, that's cool. I actually
that's
didn't know that they had the rides open. I thought it was like you're
yeah,
signing up for like this is the experience, but
yeah. I mean, it's a lot of the experience that people go for, but they still keep a lot of their main rides open as well for people to go on, which is super cool.
yeah, that
So
definitely makes it a bit better too, because it like means
yeah,
it diversifies the lines of like
yeah,
it's not just lines for the haunted houses. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think the only haunted house I have ever done is I might probably told this story before. We went to like a local like city event, and they had set up a haunted house that was Strangler things because it had to be similar but legally distinct from Stranger
Yep,
Things,
yep,
as they wore like Party City like Demogorgon masks and stuff like
yep,
that. And so they
yep.
tried like and I think I said like they had one area that was like very foggy, and I was like, where are they gonna pop out? Like, and the best scare is the scare that never comes. It was just super
Yep.
foggy, and we just like
Yep.
walked through this area and nothing happened. That's my kind of haunted house. Just make it
Yeah.
spooky.
Yeah. The Stranger Things one definitely got me a few times. Um, they had at one point like 5 different Vecnas in one space that I was not expecting.
Oh man.
Um, so one of them got me just by like literally walking up behind me, um, just out of my periphery.
Yeah, don't like
Because,
that.
but
Yep, don't
it
like that.
was it was very fun, and my friend and I were quoting the TikTok sound, waiting in line for that. When they auto tuned the Chrissy wake up into a
Oh.
song, yeah, because they had that playing just like that straight line as part of the maze, and so we started singing the auto tuned song just for fun. So
Nice.
highly recommend it for people who ever have the chance to go, and I love it. It's now I have a chocolate frog sitting next to me that I got. Um, we went through they have like a mini haunted maze. It's not really a maze in the Hogwarts area. You just walk down one of the alleyways, and there's a bunch of Death Eaters there.
Mm,
That was a lot of fun. We did that at the end of the night, and it was just like
nice.
they come up and act all spooky, and yeah, so we did that, and it was very fun. And it's a Halloween tradition officially now because I've done it 3 years in a row, and it's going
Yep.
to stick around because now Halloween doesn't feel like Halloween until you've done at least one haunted maze, but if you can, horror nights, because it's so cool and awesome. You get a lot of bang for your buck,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. I'm happy that
So
this has become a tradition for you, and I'm happy
yeah,
to
I
like
could
live
I could
live
I
through
could
you.
talk about it for hours on end about how much I love it at this point. So yeah.
So for me, biggest thing I have been up to, and we'll talk about this a bit more, but I have been playing Marvel Spider-Man 2. I'm about 8 hours into the game. We'll kind of save that for our spoiler-free thoughts that we'll have later on. But that's definitely the biggest thing. Other than that, Deanna and I went and saw the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie and rocked out to that. We, of course, went to the Draft House. It was a bunch of people singing. I apparently got seated next to someone who is also a bad singer, so we had a party of
Good.
like she was like, "I'm not a good singer. I'm sorry." I'm like, "I'm not either. We're best friends." So
That's the way to do it.
yeah, we had fun. And so it was really cool. It was fun seeing what they did. They added some like CG for like the transitions between the eras, and so that
Oh,
was
that's
really
fun.
cool. They did cut out, I think, 4 songs from the actual tour, which is sad if those are somebody's favorites, but it was
Yeah.
still like 2 hours and 45 minutes. So here we are.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And so it was really cool. It was great to go see again and getting to experience it with everybody. Other than that, similar to Emma, we have also started watching Our Flags Means Death season 2.
Yeah.
I think we're like 3 episodes in.
Okay.
And so really enjoying this season.
This literally has been the only show I've watched in the past 3 weeks because, first of all, the episodes are 30 minutes. They're short.
Yeah, which helps
Second
a
of
lot.
all, like, I mean, I've been insanely busy. So having shorter episodes has been great. But also, like, the show has been my hyper focus recently. It's been the show that I've latched onto. And just, like, I've watched both season 1 and 2 twice now.
Oh, wow.
So,
Nice.
like,
Nice.
I love it. So,
yeah, I'm really enjoying this season again. Happy to be back. I'm trying to think if I don't want to go into anything spoilery just for audience.
yeah, because the season's not over yet.
Oh, I did not know
Because
that.
they're on a released weekly.
Oh,
They're doing
okay.
a weekly schedule. The first 3 episodes they released all at once, and then they did 2 episodes and 2 episodes.
Okay, cool. I did not know that. I just had to because we
So-
like got it to it late, and so we've just been watching, so
Yeah.
I didn't know that they weren't all out yet. So that
No.
makes me feel better for once we catch up. I won't.
So I
feel
will
left
say,
out.
like, whatever happens when you hit the end point, assuming you hit the end point before they're all out, welcome to the pain.
Welcome to the pain.
Welcome to the pain and suffering that has been my life for the past 5 days, specifically.
And then
I have so many thoughts and opinions.
thoughts and feelings. Once I finish, I'll message you and we can chat about it.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I brought this up 2 weeks ago. We finished Ted Lasso, and so loved the ending, or loved the kind of culmination of everything. And so really enjoyed that show. It will probably be entering the rotation of like sitcoms, or it's like a comedy drama type thing. And so it'll probably be entering the rotation that we'll watch it again every few years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've really enjoyed it. Happy to have finally seen it. And so it's definitely one of those shows that's like, hot take, this very beloved show is good. And so
Shocker!
yeah, right? Like, we made it. And so
Here we are. Welcome,
Yeah.
folks.
and then other than that, last Monday, since we did not do podcast, I went over and played Unpacking over on Cameron plus Deanna. And
Nice.
so, which is a very fun, pretty zen like puzzle game where the idea is that you're playing as this character and you are unpacking throughout your life. So you start in like their childhood bedroom, go to, I think, like college dorm is what it's supposed to be. And so you're kind of seeing, what do you bring with you? Where does it go? Like, there are some items that have to go in like a very specific place. Others are just kind of more general. And then you kind of get to see their progression.
You can put
through.
this wherever based on your own personal vibe.
Yeah. I was very thankful that the game was not strict on like how books were organized or how like games were, like movies and stuff. 'Cause that was something that very much worried me going into it. It was like, oh, does it actually like, I have this limited shelf space. Does it
Am
only
I
fit one
required
way?
to organize my books based on your organizational
Exactly.
system?
Exactly. And then it's a pretty short game. It's probably like 3.5 hours. So I highly recommend for anybody. I believe it's on PlayStation Plus Extra. I got the platinum in it. I was not able to finish it on stream, but I got to like all but the last 2 unpacking areas. And
Nice.
so finished that off stream. And then last thing, yesterday, as of recording, played some D&D. Ran one of the Strixhaven games that I'm DMing. We had a couple players that were out, and so we Sneaky in chat says woohoo. Sneaky's one of my players, and so we had some people that were out, so we ended up kind of doing a little bit of a side quest, and are having a lot of fun because in our previous session, one of the characters introduced himself with the other character's name, and so now hijinks are ensuing because of this, and it's kind of turned into a who's who type scenario.
Yep.
And so mistaken identity, I guess, is more of what I was
Da,
looking
da.
for. But so we're playing with that. We're going to kind of see how it goes.
So
They say stupid hijinks. And so
not the hijinks.
Yes. And so very excited to see where this goes. I'm running that that game with two different groups, and it's been really fun seeing the differences between them as well. As like one group has definitely gelled more as like friends, where the other group is a bit more like antagonistic to each other. And so it's really fun seeing like the differences between those two. So
Yep. I have one more thing that I remembered happened in the past however long, but my cards game my Doctor Who Magic the Gathering cards came in the mail for the one deck that I purchased, and I'm so excited. I had a lot of fun opening the box and like just looking through all the cards, and I haven't gotten to play with them yet. Obviously, I would have mentioned that. But I'm super excited for the chance I am going to get to play with them. I got the classic Who set, and I love the art and all of the classic companions, and I'm so excited, and I cannot wait for when life calms down a little bit so that I can continue learning how to play. And my roommate was watching me open the box, and I was sitting there nerding out over all the Doctor Who stuff, and she was like, I don't understand any of that aside from basic magic rules, but I'm glad you're happy.
If you're happy, I'm happy. Yeah, I have not ordered mine yet. The deck that I want is the most expensive one, and so
is that like it's like the combo something or other?
I want the timey-wimey one is the one that I'm most interested in. Right now, that deck alone is sitting at $114 on Amazon. All the other decks are around $45 to $50. And so I obviously refuse to pay $114 for it. So I think
okay, so it's like it sounds like the most popular one.
Yeah.
So things are that would make sense.
Yeah. And so that's the one I think I'm going to pick up the one for the 12th and 13th Doctor and have that one because that one seems really cool also. That way, hopefully whenever we do something together as a group, I will at least have one of them.
Yeah.
And then eventually I'll pick up timey-wimey since I want to get that one. I would love to get all of them, but I think the other ones may end up becoming like Christmas present, like wish list type stuff.
Yeah, the other decks are on my wish list. Just in general for all of it. Because I would love to have the other decks. But I'm just so excited for us to play as a group and to play in general with it. So, yeah.
In chat, Sneaky asks, what card was your favorite? Just from like looking through.
Yeah.
Were there any that stood out?
I mean, I do have
We're going on a
I
field
could
trip.
just field trip. I have it. I'm keeping it on my little wall shelf with my other nerdy stuff. But I could just say, but that's not as fun.
It's not as fun.
Because it's not.
It is objectively less fun. So
it is. So
show and tell. Show and tell.
Yeah.
Sneaky says, why not the 10th Doctor? So the way that the decks are set up is that they're broken up by the eras of the Doctors. So 1 through 8 for Classic Who are in one deck. Then 9, 10, 11 are in timey-wimey. And then 12 and 13 are in a deck together. Then the 4th deck is the villains. And so that's your Daleks, Cybermen, Weeping Angels.
I want to appreciate that they have an on-theme, like, health counter thing. I love that. But to answer the favorite question, I love... Where are you? Haha. The shiny Commander, Fourth Doctor.
I
That's
like
one
that
of
one
my
a lot.
favorites. Also because I obviously love the Fourth Doctor. He is one of my favorites. That is his scarf. I made that myself. It is my pride and joy. But my other favorite one, let me see if I can find it, is
Yep. And while you're looking, this definitely has made me want to go back and get back into watching Doctor Who. Like, I really
yeah.
want to finish and like, I don't know if I'll get caught up before 15th Doctor, but I definitely am wanting to at least go and be able to watch some more of it. I feel like I said that last time we discussed this too, but like getting to see all the cards and getting to see all the hype that like so many of the MTG channels have had. Okay.
My other two favorite ones are the Five Doctors.
Nice.
It's a sorcery card, and then the Moment, which is a legendary artifact.
Nice.
So those are my two other favorite ones. And then I love all of the companions. I also got a holographic Sarah Jane Smith,
Nice.
which I'm excited about. So
yeah, I really like the companions. I feel like that's a really cool way of like being able to have a doctor and a companion as your commander is a very fun way of like tying in the theme of the set into those decks.
Yeah. And I like that for commander, so they give you the like the commander card, but then they also give you one that's like slightly thicker.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's like cardboard rather than the basic paper material. Which I really like. So
yeah, that's a cool. They used to do the big cards where it was like 2.5 times the size roughly, and that was kind of cool. But plane chase is different. But it actually was probably about the size of a planes chase card. Actually, now that you say that, but it used to do that for the face commander. I like that they switched to the cardboard. I like just having an actual like more normal card size because I just have a handful of the big ones that are like I don't know what to do with these.
Yeah. And my other favorite thing, they include a how to play the game, which I love, as well as like a how to play like step-by-step card and learn to play, which I appreciate as someone who's new to the game because I'm like still learning. So I appreciate that as having it written down.
Yeah, I think them moving to the commander decks as part of their like introductory products is one of the best moves that they've made. Because they used to do what was called planeswalker decks, and they were always just like really bad. Like the cards weren't great. There wasn't anything like really worth buying unless you were a brand new player trying to learn. And even then, you would then have to buy other cards to play against anybody. But them using the commander decks, especially for the Universes Beyond, it's such a good way of getting people like you that are like, you know some about the game, but don't know a lot. And like,
but I know a lot about Doctor Who.
Exactly. Here's the theme you like. Here's how the deck plays. Here's how the game works. Let's go. I've said this before, but like I have friends that learned how to play for the Lord of the Rings set. And that was their first, that was like their first experience because they're huge Lord of the Rings fans. And so I love that they're doing that and bringing in those as this introductory versus just being something that happened every once in a while.
This is my other favorite of the Planes Chasers.
That's beautiful art.
The unit headquarters. I saw that and was giggling with glee on the couch in the living room, and my roommate was just laughing at me, and I'm like, I'm so happy you don't know. So
guess with that, let's jump into our news for the week. Before we get into our main topics, I do want to give a quick shout out. We don't necessarily know a lot about it right now, but today it was announced that we will be getting a partnership between Magic the Gathering and Marvel coming in 2025. So crazy hyped about this. I was telling Emma before podcast started, just give me the Spider-Man card. Let's go. Like, just don't mess up Spider-Man. I'm ready to party. They released a trailer of some people like holding Captain America's shield and Mjolnir and kind of showing comic books and stuff like that. We know that this has been described as a tentpole set, which will put it in line more with Lord of the Rings versus Fallout, which we also got a preview for this past week, and Doctor Who that were just Commander products. And so this, and this will be more in line with next year's Final Fantasy, that's going to also be a tentpole set. And so other than that, we don't really know a lot else of what there's going to be, but stay excited, stay hyped. I really want us to get in. I want them to bring us the Defenders first off. Like, let's get Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, I guess Iron Fist.
Do it.
Bring in all of those characters. Give me like a Defenders themed. Give me Guardians of the Galaxy that all work together somehow. Like, there's so many cool teams that go so well into like a Commander product. Sneaky says, nah, Iron Fist can stay away. Again, they technically need to be present, but like put them in art. They don't need their own card.
No.
And so like even stuff like, we don't know yet if this is going to be MCU or Marvel Comics or like a mix of the two. But I would love like Spider-Verse, like give me like my Spider People team ups, like give me like all of those different versions of Peter Parker, give me Miles Morales, give me Spider-Gwen, like give me a fourth wall breaking Deadpool card somehow. Like,
yes.
I'm just like so excited for what this can be. It's going to be a long wait. I would not expect for us to see anything on this next year, other than maybe a teaser, but considering like we haven't really seen anything for Final Fantasy yet either. And that one is next year. And so I would anticipate that there's going to be a huge marketing push once we get closer to this. And they're going to probably try to keep this from drowning out all of the other news, because this is going to be very big. I have seen people theorizing that they could do how for Lord of the Rings they did the one of one, the One Ring. That they could do like 1 of 6 Infinity Stones. So like
I love that.
Yeah. So
where there's
like
only 1 of each stone.
Yeah. And so like there's going to be like there could be like a super fancy version of each one. And of course there'll be the normal ones as well that are easier to get, just like the One Ring. But yeah, there'll be like the 6 Infinity Stones as that those could be the chase cards for that set if they wanted to try to replicate that. I think for them doing another set of 1 of 1 of printings would be a lot. Like, that's a lot. You need a lot of expensive people that are interested in collecting those cards, and Post Malone definitely has the money for them, but that's a lot. So I could see them even doing kind of like what they did for the Doctors, where there's a specific number of serialized like special arts for them, and it's based on their number. So like, I don't remember the exact total, but like there's 300 of each of them. And then like First Doctor, there's 301, Second Doctor, there's 302, etc. I could see them doing something like that.
Yeah.
Doing like a very small run of a special art just seems like that would be very tight. But then again, it drove up crazy hype for Lord of the Rings with everybody chasing the lottery ticket of the One Ring. So
yeah.
Who knows what could actually happen. And so, like I said, stay tuned. We'll have more on that as we get close, but I wanted to bring that up just since that's obviously a very big topic. And so with that, let's jump into spoiler-free thoughts of Spider-Man 2. As I said at the top of the show, I've played about 8 hours. And before I get into it, I do want to bring up, we will have a news topic kind of close this out as well, but I want to bring up that Sony has revealed that this is the fastest selling PlayStation Studios game in PlayStation history, selling 2.5 million copies in the first 24 hours.
Nice.
And so I saw this pointed out on another podcast, so this is by no means my original thought, but something that people have pointed out is that this is like the 4th game to be the fastest selling game in PlayStation Studios history. And every time that they've done it, they've used a different metric. So this one is in the first 24 hours. I think God of War was in the first 5, or God of War Ragnarok was in the first 5 days. The original Marvel Spider-Man was in the first 3 days. And so
That
like,
is
hey,
hilarious.
you do what you got to do, PlayStation. Like, as long as they're stating factual statements, like, good for you. But like, it is really funny that people have called that out. I'm really excited. I think that this would be a really funny, like, running meme for like every time that there's a major game. It's the fastest selling game in X amount of time, and the X amount of time is always
in the
different.
first hour. It slowly goes down to the first hour.
Yeah, something like silly. Like, I think that would be a funny like way of like engaging the fans of like, what's the time frame gonna be. Again, as long as this is factual, I don't necessarily think it's a problem, but I do think it's really funny. But yeah, so with that, I played about 8 hours. I'm loving the game. I think that you've played the original Marvel Spider-Man, right?
I haven't finished it.
Okay.
But
so we'll keep this spoiler free.
I don't mind about spoilers for the first game.
But yeah, we'll keep it, broadly speaking, spoiler free for like the main story beats. So this game, kind of like the other one, starts off with a supervillain fight at the very beginning of the game. It's really cool. I really liked it. It's a very fun, like, iconic moment to get thrown in. People brought this up for the first game, but one thing that's really cool is, since we're dealing with an older Peter Parker, this isn't his first time fighting these villains. So like in the first game, you fight the Sinister Six, but you don't really fight them one-on-one. It's like 2 of them against you, because Peter's fought them one-on-one before. And I really like that idea. And this one kind of plays like to that idea of like, Peter has fought this villain. He knows what he's doing. He knows their weakness because he's interacted with them before. And so it's very cool. Swinging around New York feels amazing.
As it should.
Yeah, as it should. They did like the most important thing, which is making it feel good to be Spider-Man. I feel like for like the first, like, I streamed like 4 hours of the game, like ate dinner and then played 2 more hours and then streamed it again the next day. And so I feel like for the first like 30 minutes of the stream is just me talking about like, it feels so good to be back in New York. It feels so good to swing around. Sneaky in chat says swinging is much better than the first game, faster and smoother. You zoom crazy fast, and you
Zoomies.
I love it, to the point that I've actually had problems because I keep overshooting objectives. Like, you build up some momentum.
There you go.
Yeah, you build up momentum so much faster in this one. Plus you have the wingsuit, so you can glide now. And so like between all of those things, you just get going so fast. And it makes it very cool to get around the city. And it makes it feel like one of the problems, air quotes, problems in the first game is like, you would get to Central Park and you're just like, oh, well, I can't go fast because now I'm stuck on these trees. That's all I can swing on. But now that you have the wingsuit, you can like glide over Central Park. You can do all these other things. That is so cool. Chunk in chat says swinging and gliding just feels fantastic. 100%. One of the things that's cool about the game as well is, at least for where I am right now, again, no major spoilers, but you have your gadgets, and those gadgets are shared between Miles and Peter.
Oh, that's fun.
And then they each have their own set of abilities that are different. So, of course, like Miles are based off the Venom abilities. Peter has like the robot arms that come off his back, like what we saw in Infinity War on the Iron Spider. He has those arms on his, so his skill tree is based off of that. And so it's really cool. I like that there is we're very similar. We both share the gadgets, but then they each have their own skill tree as well. I'm sure that'll get flushed out more as I get going throughout it. And then the suits are really cool from the ones that I've unlocked so far. I have had some bugs, nothing game breaking, but one of them is with like one of the suits, or it has a cape, and I put that suit on because it looks really cool. And literally the next cutscene, the cape got stuck in the middle of the character model. and it wasn't behind them. And I was just like, oh, well, that's no fun. And so I had that happen. There's a quest where you're riding a bike and the bike clipped, or the back tire of the bike clipped through the ground. So that happened. And then I had an audio bug where it like dropped the octave of the characters. And
Oh,
so
that's funny.
MJ had like a super deep voice. And so nothing game breaking. But I have heard from other people that there have been some bugs that have been experienced as well. But it's overall nothing that serious. That nothing like game breaking, nothing that really overall detracts from the experience. Of course, would like the game to be bug free, but here we are. And so, trying to think of what else. Because again, I don't want to go into spoilers. Side quests. There are some very cool side quests. It seems like they're doing the idea of, instead of there being a ton of different things to collect, there's different things to collect, but there's not as many of each thing, if that makes sense. It's like in the first game, say there was 50 backpacks. I don't remember the actual number. In this game, there's 10 of 5 different things. And so instead of just being a bunch of one thing, it's a handful of different things. And so that's pretty cool. They're all tied to story. In terms of like characters that the people are, the different Spider-Man are interacting with. Generally speaking, you can switch between them extremely quickly and it's beautiful. I think I saw something that was like the fast travel takes like 2 point something seconds. And the majority of that is holding down the confirmation that you want to fast travel.
That is
like,
great.
Yeah, like Insomniac, I think I saw said that like they could have made it quicker, but they ran into problems because people were fast traveling when they didn't mean to. And so that is crazy. And it's also super cool because you like cinematically fast travel. So like if you pick a new area, like the character will like swing in, like it'll fade and then it'll switch to the other area and like you'll swing in or you'll glider in or something. So it doesn't just like come in on you standing there. It actually is you like moving and having momentum and all of that. And so it's really cool getting to see all of that. For bugs, Chunk said I had it crash on me once today, but it was no big deal. Yeah. Hopefully everything stays minor like that. I'm trying to think if I had anything else. Again, I'm not that far in the story, so I can't really discuss too many spoilers. But we can chat more about it in post show as well. But overall, I'll say from my experience, I have really enjoyed what they've done, and I'm really excited to see the rest of the story. But yeah, do you have? I know you said you were playing or had played the first one, but not finished it.
Yeah, I own the first one and the Miles Morales like 1.5 game or whatever you want to call it. The sequel that's not a sequel.
Yeah.
I've started the Miles Morales one as well, but I'm considerably further into just the first Spider-Man game than the Miles Morales one, but I haven't finished either one, obviously, because other games come out that take precedence in my list of requirements to play and finish. But I will one day finish both of them.
Yeah, I highly recommend Miles Morales. It's a much tighter experience. It's a much tighter open world. That story like gets me emotionally too. I feel like as someone who like isn't as familiar with Miles Morales versus Peter Parker, like the twist in Marvel Spider-Man, like you can see coming from a mile away if you're remotely aware of Spider-Man lore. That doesn't mean it's not well done, but it's just not a surprise. And so versus Miles that I knew a lot less. I think the villain in Miles Morales is also a new character, or a new take on a character. And so it's something that's different there as well. And so it just wasn't somebody that was as familiar. And so, and then a couple last comments on this for chat before we have a discussion thing for this as well. Sneaky says, I love the different life issues that Peter and Miles are going through because it definitely shows the age gap between the two and makes the characters feel individualized. Hard agree without going into spoilers. There's a reason that this version of Peter Parker is one of my favorites, and it's because we actually get to see him deal with being an adult. Which we never get to really see because it always just ends up getting rebooted. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. I hope that where they go with Tom Holland's Spider-Man is in line with Insomniac's Spider-Man. I would love for them to take that side of it and have him become a similar character. And then Sneaky says, I enjoyed Miles Morales more than the first Spider-Man game. I don't necessarily disagree. Like, the Marvel Spider-Man is much more fleshed out just because it's a bigger game, which I think is the pros and cons of Miles Morales. Like, one of its biggest strengths is it's not as long, but it's also one of its weaknesses is that you don't necessarily have as much there. And then Chunk says, loved Miles Morales a lot more than they thought they would. And so, yeah, definitely
and one
agree.
Day, Chunk, I will platinum.
Yeah, gotta believe. So
now is not the time.
Yeah, now is not that day. But speaking of platinums, that's going to bring us into the release of Spider-Man has kind of sparked an interesting discussion. It comes up every once in a while, and that is a discussion of game length versus cost. And so this isn't directly tied to Spider-Man, but it is because Spider-Man is the thing that sparked that discussion. And so there have been a lot of fans that have kind of come out and said, oh, this game is very short for being $70. And so as of the general consensus is that it takes around 25 to 30 hours. And so to come in to get the platinum trophy, and they called out, IGN called out that it took their fastest player 18 hours to finish the story, and it took the slowest player 25 hours to finish the story. So that's not the platinum, but that's just to finish
just
the story.
like the main storyline.
Yeah. And then from there, about 25 to 30 hours to actually finish the platinum. And so in response to this, Brian Ithaire, who works for Insomniac, came out and said, for us, it really comes down to the experience we want to deliver with the quality we want to hit. Obviously, there's a certain level of, hey, someone's going to spend this much money on a game, so we want to give them the experience that's worth it. And so, and as some metrics that have been brought up, Spider-Man 2, fully priced at $70 compared to Elden Ring, which is about 80 to 100 hours to platinum, Baldur's Gate 3, which is over 100 hours, and then Diablo 4, which is, they say, 150 to 200 hours to platinum. And so I'm curious, Emma, as someone who is a gamer but is not as like in it, like, for lack of a better word, like, I would,
due to life constraints.
Yes, yeah. Like, do you have, when you buy a game, does how long that game takes to finish factor into your buying decisions, or
No.
is that, yeah? Okay.
It
Why
does not? Because I go more for the experience as a whole than the length of time it takes to complete it. Because really, when I play games, I want the experience of that game. I'm looking for the vibes of it, the story, the characters, the whatever of it, rather than how long or short a time it takes me to play it. Like when Stray came out, the cat game last year, the indie game, it's only like 8 hours max, but I got it because it seemed like an amazing game, and it was, and I loved it, and like that for that story, it was a great length. I mean, really the only time length matters for me is like if it's getting into the range of unnecessarily long,
Mhm.
or you know, so short that it's negatively impacting the overall like experience of the story
Mhm.
and the gameplay. Um, but like I've replayed the Last of Us games several times, Horizon Zero Dawn games several times. Um, I'm still finishing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is long, but like lengthwise, it doesn't. I don't care so much how long or short the game is. So
Yeah. I'm very similar to you in that. And I feel like this conversation is one that like ebbs and flows of like sometimes people are very much like, does every game need to be 300 hours to beat? Does every
oh
game, and like, and then at the same time, then it goes the other way of, oh, 15 to 20 hours, that's too short.
yeah, not
Um,
every game needs to be
yeah.
8 hours long. Not every game needs to be 250 hours long.
Yeah. I know, like I said, I'm very similar mindset to you. And when I was like seeing this story, one of the things that it reminded me of was when I was in college and our professors would not set a minimum length for our essays. What they would say is to make it long enough to prove your point or finish your discussion on the topic. And somebody was like, so we could write one word, and they said, yep. Like they're like, if you feel that that one word communicates what you want well enough for you to get a good grade, you are more than welcome to put one word in as your. Of course, no one did that.
You're welcome
But
to take that
yeah,
risk.
yeah, that better be the best word ever. But like, that's kind of how I feel with this. Of like, there's obviously limits to this example, but so like for example, I would, if it was a 1 hour game that cost $70, like that better be the best 1 hour of my gaming experience that I've ever
Yeah.
had. But
Yeah.
at the same time, um, I don't want every game to be Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Just because a game takes a long time to beat, that doesn't mean it's a good game.
Yeah.
Like like I'll even use one of my favorite games of all time, Persona 5, as the example. Let me see, how long is that? Persona 5. I'm on how long to beat. According to how long to beat, it takes 97 and a half hours to finish Persona 5. Not all of that 97 hours is good quality. Like, I would much rather a game trim out, like especially something on that scale, trim out 100 hours or trim out 20 of those 100 hours and have a much tighter experience, even if I'm getting less bang for my buck.
Yeah. 100%.
And like I said, I think there's limits. Like, I fully agree that you should be getting a good value proposition for your money, which is kind of the point of reviews, is to call out when they think that it's not a good value proposition. But I do think that that's something that's very important. But again, just because a game takes forever doesn't necessarily make it's a good game. You brought up Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I think it's kind of the example of Valhalla versus Mirage. That
Yeah.
like a lot of people are very excited for Mirage because it's only a 20-something hour experience
Yeah.
compared to the 100-something of Valhalla that a lot of people, like, as someone who has finished the story of Valhalla, I know way more people that have played it and not finished it than have, let
Yeah.
alone have actually gotten the platinum trophy in it. And so just because there is all of that content doesn't really mean it's a good experience. In chat, Sneaky says there's only so many 100+ hour games you can play before games get left behind. Exactly. Like you,
Mhm.
even as someone who like picking high school summer break type stuff of like there's a lot of time to play games, but that there's still not infinite time. Like you can't just like, be dumping everything uh, into that experience. Sneaky says, "Are you actually wasting money if you get 100+ hour game and don't end up finishing the game?" That's another interesting point. Like, you're not getting the bang for your buck. I would say this is something I've been like working on myself. So I say this from like a soft place in my heart because it's where I'm
Yeah.
trying to get to. Of like, I'm trying to be better at being like, I'm not having fun with this game. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just stop. So a
Yeah.
recent example for me is Honkai Star Rail. I picked that up because it finally came to PlayStation 5. I enjoyed Genshin Impact. Didn't really keep with it, but like I enjoyed it. Honkai has kind of gotten praise for being kind of like Persona in terms of like it's very stylistic, turn-based game. I really like that. As I said previously, Persona 5 is one of my favorite games of all time. And then I uninstalled it. I finished the first area, got into the second area, and I uninstalled it. I'm like, I'm not having fun. I'm not enjoying the story. I don't like that since it's a gotcha game, the characters in my party aren't the characters that I'm playing with in combat.
Yeah.
And so I just uninstalled it. Of course, that's a free to play game, so not quite like one to one with this example, but like just because like it's I think it's all about having a good experience with the time that you have. For some games, that's 100%ing them. For other games, it's hey, I played 15 hours. I feel like I had my time's worth, and I'm piecing out. Um, Chunk says it's quality, not quantity, and Spider-Man 2 has tons of quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's generally speaking how I feel about it. I would be interested in a game time metric that removes what I'll call busy work. Like we all had that from when we were in school of like you need to do this assignment. Why? Because it's a Thursday and I need to give you an assignment. And so I need you to do this. Like we all had that, especially in like elementary school, middle school, high school type stuff. And I would like to me, I don't think that should count as game length. Like now, I guess it's hard to define what that is. Is taking down the crimes in Spider-Man busy work just because it's like side, like what actually is that versus other side content. But I do think that that's something that would be really interesting of like, I guess it would be called like golden path, like golden path time for games of like that gets brought up for things like Skyrim. That's only like a 5-hour game or something like that if you actually just go through the story. But there's so much side content. So
So much.
yeah, so I'd be curious to what that would look like, um, and yeah, this I think that this is the type of debate that we will see here, and we're gonna see the next time that there's a game that is what's considered short. Uh, and I do think it's going to be very interesting to see. But any final thoughts on that discussion before we pass it off to your topic for the week? Okay, well then, what do you have for us today?
Some minor updates to a potential season 3 for Good Omens, which I love the as a show. Um, it's according to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Neil Gaiman. Things are looking good. It is not completely confirmed yet by Amazon that season 3 is getting picked up, but they're considering it highly, which is good news. Which I love to hear. And slash but slash or question mark. Um, if and assuming it does go through for a season 3, the one person who would not be returning is Douglas McKinnon, who is a showrunner, executive producer, and director of a couple of episodes on the first 2 seasons. I mentioned that in part because it's going to be news mentioned potentially as clickbait to make people think that Neil Gaiman is dropping off for the third season. He would never. Good Omens is one of his closest children, if you will. One of his biggest prides and joys. Plus, he wouldn't do that to Terry Pratchett, as someone who is no longer with us. But yes, we have a departure from executive producer role slash director slash showrunner. Hopefully that doesn't impact the story plot goal for season 3 too much, assuming season 3 happens, which I'm going to keep saying. But yeah, he's apparently moved on to other projects. We don't know more, really, aside from that. Other than there would not be a season 4, like it ends after season 3. That's it. Season 3, and that's over.
Which is good. That's a good series length. Like,
it's a good series length. And it's good to have like a goal end point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a brief rundown of me constantly updating everyone in my life about what it's looking like for Good Omens season 3.
Yeah.
What's the recent tea on Good Omens season 3? I'm going to tell you. So
I'm excited. Yes. I really hope we get a third season for this. I've liked where they've gone with the story. And again, not getting into spoilers or anything. I really like how the second season ended. And in the sense of, I think it's a good story beat. It kind of makes me sad, yes. But like, I think it's a good story development for how it ends. And I'm very excited for them to hopefully get this third season. And we just need this SAG strike to end, and we need them to start paying their actors so that we can get this done. And
we all need it.
Yeah.
We all need it.
But yeah, I'm very hopeful that we will get some sort of resolution soon to that, and that then we can start. Do I need to come to LA again? Maybe. Again, maybe. Not saying that I ended the writer's strike, but yeah. Again, not saying I ended the writer's strike, but I am saying I came to LA and the writer's strike ended.
It sure is a coincidence.
So, this is like the sports fan that has their like lucky chair or whatever that they have to wear for every or sit in for every game, or the shirt that they have to wear for everything. And am I what ends the strike? Maybe.
To answer Chunk in the chat in relationship to this, the writer's strike has ended. The thing is, the actors also went on strike. They are two separate unions. So the writers went on strike, and then partway through their strike, the actors went on strike as well. And then the writers' strike ended. They made a deal, but the actors are still on strike. And because they're two separate unions, they're two separate deal processes, both because they're separate unions and because they're different demands.
Yeah, different structures for what they're looking for and stuff like
reasons.
That.
Yeah. So it's like half done. We're halfway there. Projects can now go back into pre-production. They cannot continue into production without causing strike issues with unions. So,
and doing a quick Google search, the SAG after strike has hit 100 days as of 2 days ago. So this has been going for quite a while. And so I'm still standing by, like, if we can get the studios to pay their people, then this could lead to like 2025, 2026 being like one of the best years for film and television of like all of these projects that are going to be coming. And so very, very hopeful for what that's going to be. And, but yeah, we'll see. Going back to Good Omens, I think pretty much every show should wrap at like 3 to 4 seasons. Like, I feel like that should just be the plan going into it. I feel like
think
that's a great,
like 5 seasons is max.
yeah, five. Yeah, five should be the exception for like the biggest critically received shows. But that should be like, not to get political, just like how we have like term limits for presidents, we should have term limits for shows. Someday when I am CEO of TV, when I'm Mr. TV, I will institute term limits for TV shows, and for streaming shows and all of that, so that I feel like having to have writers have a plan for the conclusion of their show that is relatively short, like, I think is a really good thing. I bring this up all of the time, but one of the issues with How I Met Your Mother is that they kept on getting more seasons. They kept on postponing the reveals, and then they kept on having to have exit strategies because they then weren't sure if they were actually going to get a next season. And so things were always up in the air. I think for the majority of shows being like, hey, we're going to do 3 to 4 years, rare exception for 5. Like I feel like that would be very strong, and would be a very big boost to like overall quality of storytelling. Just kind of like, I see the similar thing for the idea of streaming shows, where you don't have to hit 22 episodes. This can be 6 episodes, 8 episodes, 10 episodes, whatever you need to do. And that, I think, is much stronger for the storytelling of these shows versus having to do gigantic half of the year runs. And I think that would be really good for a lot of shows. In chat, Chunk says definitely not like Supernatural and go 15 seasons. Yeah.
That was unnecessary.
Yeah. And then Sneaky says pitch 3 to 4 seasons with a flushed out conclusion. Yes. I think, again, broadly speaking, every show should know how it's going to end when it gets started. Like, you don't need to have a script. You don't need to have it like that. But like, you should be able to explain, the overall arc of the show. This season, we're going to deal with this. This season's going to be this, etc. Here's how we're going to wrap it all up. Things can change. Characters may become fan favorites and get bigger parts. Like, things like can definitely be adjusted. But like, broadly speaking, I think every show should be pitched with a conclusion in mind. Again, when I'm CEO of TV, 1, I will pay my writers and actors. 2, I will be instituting this policy. No further questions, please.
Good. So, as you should.
Yes. But those are our topics for this week. I do want to give a shout out. I'd referenced a couple weeks ago guessing on a project for part of City on a Hill that has come out. I think we called it Council on a Hill, something like that. It's kind of about, it's like just a discussion about kind of the state of doing like family-friendly D&D, Pathfinder, tabletop RPGs. So that's out on the City on a Hill feed. And considering it's October 23rd and you and I have not talked about it, I feel like we're probably not doing a book club this month. And so that's not happening.
I mean, this month has been so insanely busy for me that I wouldn't have been able to finish it anyway. So
and so considering it would be 3 days from now that we would be doing book club, and so so we will not be doing that this month. We'll try to do one next month, but so everybody stay tuned for what that's going to be. I think speaking of which, I still need to get the previous book club up on YouTube. That's my bad. But I do think that we had an idea for November book club. And so hopefully we'll
Did we?
I feel like we did, because I feel like Shanine was like, y'all definitely need to do this for November, and now I don't remember what she said.
Oh, I remember this. Yes. Okay. It's the we'll talk about it later.
We'll talk after. About it. And so we will or stay tuned. We should hopefully have a book club for November. And then one of the things that we also discussed before show is as we approach the end of the year, just mostly for us as we're prepping, but for everybody, because we do want to hear from everybody, we are going to be doing our look back at the year with our overall top 5 of the year. We usually do that as like our last show in December before we take a break for the holidays. So just kind of glancing at the calendar, that's probably going to be December 18th. So we'll get final dates in, but just kind of as a heads up for everybody, just with where Christmas falls this week, we'll probably end up taking off the last week in December as well as the first week in January. And so, so just as a heads up for everybody. But with that, as always, you can find us as One Geek 411 on our social media. You can join our Discord server if you want to chat during the week. You can also shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Check out that Redbubble store. Watch live on Twitch Monday nights, 6:30, 6:45 Mountain Time, and find the videos over on our YouTube. You can also find us on our personal social media. I'm Humar Whittill on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Discord, all the places.
I'm not prepared with an I pretty much everywhere. I'm not really on / using Twitter much anymore for reasons.
Yeah,
but
fair.
I am places. You can in fact find me places.
Yeah. And with that, it's been a great week.
Pet a dog.
I love you.